Hey, what's up guys, in this video I'm going to explain envelopes and LFOs in Spire. We have envelope 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? LFO 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so envelope 1 is automatically mapped to the amplifier of your oscillator. So we have attack, decay, sustain, and release here, right? ADSR. We'll press a note, it instantly on, instantly off. Right, and that's because sustain is all the way up. So if we want to have a gradual increase, we will increase the attack. Right, so it takes a little while for it to achieve maximum amplitude. Right, decay is you press and hold a key, and it just kind of fades out. Right, there's a decay. It's not sustained. If we turn up the sustain, it'll start like a plucky thing, and then we'll have a tiny bit still coming through. It won't fade out. Right. I'm going to zoom out. Right. So we'll turn sustain down, and it goes to like, 0, absolute 0. So with sustain on, instantly on, instantly off. With release, when you release the key, it'll continue playing and it'll fade out, kind of like the opposite of the attack. Right? It just fades out, which is quite old school. So we have STL and SSL, or whatever. Right? So what I gather that these do, it's you'll have a sustain, and it'll go down to you'll press that and it'll go down and it'll fade out. So this is more of a release. I'm trying to explain this in like simple kind of terms here. It's like a release, but the release can be sustain. So it's like a decay and sustain after the decay and sustain. So if we turn this up, we'll have a sustain. It won't completely fade out. See, it's not fading out. So with that, you can have kind of, we won't have that. Have an attack. Right. So we have more control over the envelope of our amplifier or our filter or whatever, and it's just an interesting way of getting things kind of done here. All right, so I'm going to show you briefly. You can adjust the curve of each of these, right? So right now it's kind of linear, right? It's linear. We can click on it, and it'll be curved. Curved, convex and concave. Someone is shoveling something outside. Right? And you can change the curve for each of them. And these will kind of emulate the characteristics of different kinds of, envelopes that you would find in different synthesizers. If you want a long kind of release, it's kind of a very smooth release. Right? It's not as subtle as right? Just kind of like, convex. And it's control over your sound and your timbre and how it all works together. All right. And you have 4 of those envelopes and how you map them. So we'll init, and I'll show you one that's already mapped, and we'll go over to this one. This boxy box thing right here. We have our cutoff 1. And our amount to full. So we'll select I guess we'll select that. We'll turn the resonance up so you can hear that. So you'll see, right, the filter is automatically opening and closing. It's being controlled by this envelope as we press the key. Right, and we can make this kind of sustainy. So it'll stop there. Right? We can have the decay longer. We can even have the attack longer. What the heck? Oh. I tapped sustain on, sorry. We're doing like 40 things at once here. Right, so you can see. Faster sweep. Slower sweep. You can invert the amount here. Right, so what you do is you create kind of like an acid line here. Right, and that's me pretending that I can make dance music. All right, and that is with the cutoff. You can change this to a lot of things. Shaper, amount, wet dry, and you can map these to slots in your matrix, which we'll get into later. You can even map it to your ARP, which is pretty cool. And you can even map it to an LFO. So that brings us to LFOs. So what I'll do is I'll go init, and I'll turn this off. All right, so we'll go to one of our LFOs, right? You have this guy here, and this is how you map to whatever. So what this is just a sine wave, and it's very, very slow. You'd be like, okay, well, what is it doing? So I will go back to this. All right, so I just did that so we can hear what's going on. So I'm going to map this to filter cutoff 1, or we can map it to cutoff 2. I'll go cutoff 1, and then I'll increase the amount, and you can hear what it's doing. Alright, so this is the amount, and this is what, how much this LFO is affecting cutoff 1. You understand? So what we can do is adjust the rate. So what this is just a sine wave just going, and you'll be able to see it. So right now it's free running. You can increase the amount so you can hear it even more. Right, and we'll take that there. I'll just change this to acido. Right, so we can sync this to a time in your DAW, which is 128. So we'll go quarter, and we'll go eighths. Let's go eighths. Right, and that's pretty cool. We can increase the amount here, so we can kind of have it more intense, and it's kind of acts the same way as the amount, AMT amount. So we'll just double click there. So we can change the form to a triangle and to a square. And symmetry will change it so it's the DC offset, it's upper here. So this would be like, it would change the amount of the cutoff. Right. It's kind of like automation, think of it like that. Right, so we can change this to a lot of different things here. Right, so this would be a saw. Right, and it's all about how you morph it. So you can get a lot of interesting modulation things here. Sample and hold, which is basically random. Morphing doesn't do anything, or form, or whatever. You can even change it to like a vocal. Just get some randomness going on there. Very analog-y, or whatever, right? And there's different ones here. Generally, you'll be sticking to like square and pulse. And all this other stuff. Alright, I'm getting distracted. So that's your LFO and your envelope, and I think that's pretty much it. You have your velocity sensitivity. You can have this option set so the amount that the hardness that you press a key, it'll set it so the amount is more. So like if you want to pound the key, you'll get more of a modulation. If you're just light, it will have a lighter modulation. That's like aftertouch, right? You can map more than one. Each of these parameters, you can map more than one source so we can even map the resonance. And we can do some neato things with that. Right? And then we can map these, the source, to a lot of other things in the slot, which is the modulation matrix, which we're going to get into in the next video, or the one after that. Who knows? Phase is the start time, and it re-triggers each time you play it, right? And yeah, that's it. Why is there no sound? Oh, I broke it. Come on. Right, you can adjust the phase. You want it to start here. Right. All right. You get the idea. I've rambled on enough. Hopefully I explained it pretty coolly. We'll be back with some more fun stuff. All right. Have a good one.